Guys, apparently there's a YouTuber called Her Story, and apparently this is the girl version of his story. We're gonna be reacting to it. Wait, why?
Meet someone. My new friend from work. He's making us dinner tonight. A man stepped out from behind the counter. My blood turned to ice. I recognized that face immediately. I'd seen it in every one of my nightmares for 3 years. This is Chase. He's like a brother to me already. My husband gleamed. Chase smiled at me. A calm, friendly smile. Nice to meet you. My legs almost buckled. He'd found me. For context, I was kidnapped when I was 19. A college freshman, walking home alone from a late study session. I was wearing headphones when a van pulled up beside me. I didn't even have time to react before a hand clamped over my mouth and dragged me inside. I was duct taped and driven for hours. The man took me to a house in the middle of nowhere. Kept me in a soundproof basement chained to a pipe. I was there for 4 months. He came down every night, sometimes twice. Called me his project. Said he was training me, made me thank him when he was done. He took photos, videos, made me say things into the camera. Said if I ever escaped, he'd send the footage to everyone I loved. When I fought back, he burned me with cigarettes. The night I escaped, he forgot to lock the door. I ran barefoot through the woods for 6 hours until I collapsed at a gas station. Police never found him no matter how hard they looked. He simply vanished. But before I changed my name and moved across the country, a letter arrived at my hospital room. I'll find you. We'll pick up right where we left off. Now he was here, standing in my kitchen, stirring pasta. Like the last 3 years were intermission. My heart was slamming against my ribs. I needed an excuse to get out of the house. I forgot my water bottle in the car. I said to my husband, let me go grab it. My husband walked over to me. No worries, babe. You've had a long day. I'll go get it for you. He started walking out the door. I grabbed his arm. No, I'll go get it myself. It's fine. I'm right here. I said I'll get it. I snapped. My husband stopped, looked at me weird. Why do you want to go outside so badly? I froze. I need to talk to you. Outside. Right now. He stared at me, then sighed. Chase actually warned me about this. My stomach dropped. He told me women get weird when their husbands make new male friends. Something about losing control. I realized it then. Chase had already manipulated him. Already planted seeds against me. That's when Chase appeared around the corner. A calm smile. Everything okay? Yeah, my husband said. Just going to grab her bottle. He stepped outside before I could react. The door closed, leaving me and Chase alone. Chase quickly walked toward me, reached past my shoulder. He locked the deadbolt before I could stop him. Told you we'd pick up where we left off. He backed me against the wall. You really thought you could hide from me? New name, new city.
Yo.
I'd never felt so scared. His hand gripped my jaw. I've been watching you for 6 months, getting close to him, becoming his best friend, waiting for tonight. I felt like I was going to throw up. My husband is right outside. Chase scoffed. Your husband thinks I'm the greatest guy he's ever met. He's not coming to save you. He grabbed my arm, then put his hand over my mouth. I tried to scream as loud as I could. Nothing came out. I screamed again. No sound. Chase was smiling at me like this was amusing. That's when I bit his hand, hard as I could. He let go just long enough for me to yell, help! My husband heard it immediately. He ran back to the door, tried the handle, locked. He pounded with both fists. Babe, what's happening there? Chase was angry now. He grabbed my throat with his hands and started squeezing. Then I saw it. My husband ran around the side to the window. He looked in and saw Chase pinning me against the wall. Saw his hand around my throat, the tears streaming down my face. I made eye contact with my husband. Something inside him snapped. He grabbed the patio chair and hurled it through our window. Glass exploded everywhere. He climbed through without hesitating. Shards slicing his arms, blood running down to his elbows, but he didn't even flinch. He tackled Chase before Chase could react. They hit the floor hard. The thing is, my husband is a 6'4" jiu-jitsu black belt. He wrestled Chase down, then grabbed a lamp from the side table. Chase tried to raise his hand to defend himself, but it was too late. My husband brought the lamp down right on Chase's skull.
Okay.
Once, twice. Chase went limp. My husband dropped the lamp and crawled to me. Are you okay? Please talk to me. Are you okay? I couldn't speak, just collapsed into his chest sobbing. He pulled out his phone, dialed 911, never let go of me once. Police dragged Chase out in handcuffs. They took my husband in for questioning, but we had security cameras in our hallway. He was released by morning. I bandaged my husband's sliced arms while he sat at our kitchen table. I told him everything for the first time. He just listened, didn't interrupt once. Then he spoke. Guess you could say he really chased after you. Huh? Get it? I slapped. When I saw my husband's new...
Alright.
I was sitting in
Next
class
one.
when I felt a tingling in my brain and immediately knew what it was. My entire life, my doctors had told me if I ever felt my epilepsy coming back, I'd have 2 minutes before I could burst out into a seizure and would probably never wake up. I knew my meds were in my locker, and when my hands started shaking too, I knew I needed them bad. I raised my hand and asked if I could use the bathroom, but my teacher didn't say anything. I had no choice, so I stood up, but she stopped me. Excuse me? Did I say you could leave? I told her it was an emergency, but she looked closer into my eyes. Wait a second. Why are your pupils so dilated? Are you on drugs? I pulled away from her. No, I'm not on drugs. I need my epilepsy meds. I tried to walk past her, but she grabbed me again. Nuh-uh, you're going to pop more pills. I knew it. She shoved in front of me and locked the door. I've had it with the druggies in our school. I felt it getting worse. Please, I'm not lying. I really do have epilepsy, but she was already at the light switch. You know what? Let's test it then. She instantly started flicking the lights, and I felt my brain tense up. I yelled, stop, and my classmates started getting mad too. One guy in the back stood up. Let her go. This is serious. Can't you see? Absolutely not. She called our principal, telling him she caught the drug dealer they've been looking for, telling him to search my locker. Since you want to keep lying, let's really test this. She typed something into the computer, and the screen exploded with rapid strobing lights in every color. Our whole class was yelling now, especially the one guy in the back. But as he stood up from his desk, something happened. His voice cut off mid-sentence. We all looked at him and saw his face. Then he just completely collapsed, kicking rapidly on the floor. Our teacher paused on the video, realizing he wasn't joking. All of the girls around him were screaming. Nobody knew what to do. Then someone burst through our door. Our principal heard all the noise, and when he saw him, he was terrified. He dropped down next to him, trying to remember what to do. But when I saw the cops, I saw they were holding holding evidence bags. They just went through my locker and took my epilepsy pills. I used all my strength to get up and yelled, "Those are my seizure pills! He needs them!" The principal saw them and realized I was telling the truth. He opened them, basically shoving them down the boy's throat, and we all watched him slow down and finally stop kicking. Then we turned to our teacher. Long story short, she's in the same prison as Diddy. I was sitting in class when I felt a tingling in my brain. I was walking home when I noticed a man behind me. He smiled at me, not friendly, hungry. He started to pick up the pace. I started speed walking. I could hear his footsteps behind me. The streets were empty. I took a bunch of turns trying to lose him. When I finally did, I ran into my apartment building out of breath. I was standing in the elevator. The doors were about to close. Then his fingers jabbed through the gap. He walked in and stood right beside me, started playing eerie music on his phone. I felt like I was in a horror movie. Bang. He slammed the emergency stop button. I stared at the ground. I could see the outline of something rectangular in his pocket. It looked like a knife. My phone slipped out of my hand and hit the floor between us, my only lifeline, now closer to him than me. He bent down to pick it up. His hood fell back. His face was ghostly white. His hands were shaking worse than mine. This is it. I'm going to die. He dropped to one knee, pulled the object out of his pocket, a small box. He opened it. A ring. Will you marry me? I was walking home when I noticed a man behind me. He smiled at me, not friendly, hungry. My father abused me for years in secret, but then one day he proudly confessed to it in public. My father never loved me, and the only time he acknowledges my existence is when I make a mistake, and he leaves me with bruises and a limp to make sure I never do it again. So one day when he told me his friends were coming over, I was excited because I knew it was my chance to expose my dad and show everyone who he really was when no one was watching. As soon as they all sat around the table, I began to serve them. I clattered forks a little too loudly on purpose and walked a little too heavily, watching as he pretended not to be angry so he could seem like a good dad in front of his guests. And finally, it came. He slammed his fist on the table and shouted at the top of his lungs, "You're a worthless mistake! I'd be better off if you were never born!" I looked over at his guest who froze and said, "I didn't know you spoke to your daughter like that." My father looked like he was about to faint. Turns out, the guest was his boss, and his outburst lost him a promotion. My father abused me for years in secret.
When me and my children finally escaped my abusive husband, we thought
Hold
our
up.
My father
When me and my children finally escaped my abusive husband, we thought our problems were finally over, but they weren't. For most of my children's lives, we were living in fear of my husband that I'd been forced to marry in an arranged marriage. I always thought escaping him was the answer. So when we finally ran out the door that day and made it to the homeless shelter, it was the best day of my life. But on the second day, we realized it was closed during the day. I'd have to put my kids in the dirty stroller the shelter gave me and walked around aimlessly. That's until winter came around and it started snowing one day. Luckily, there was a diner close by, but when I went in, I was told I had to buy something to stay. I really didn't want to spend my last $30, but if I stood outside, then my kids would get really sick. And so I bought the cheapest food item there. I tried to get my kids to eat as slow as possible so we could stay longer. Midway through the meal, a random woman came over saying she had spare clothes and asked if I wanted them. My face lit up and I said yes as fast as I could, but then she went out to her car to get them and drove off. My heart shattered and I felt broken by life again. But then 10 minutes later, she returned with a car full of clothes. When me and my children finally escaped my abusive
that's
husband,
insane.
we thought I was always curious to see what it would take to make my husband snap. Then I found out the hard way. My husband Jason is the calmest person I've ever met, and even when our 8-year-old daughter was diagnosed with blindness, he didn't freak out. He just stayed steady and thought about how to buy her a guide dog. But soon I found out what he was truly capable of. We were at the park one Saturday when it happened. Our blind daughter was sitting on a bench with her guide dog Luna's harness in her hand. "I need to use the public bathroom," Jason said before getting up and kissing my forehead. As soon as he left, a man and his 10-year-old son started running towards us. They ended up beside us, and the boy was pointing at Luna and jumping up and down. "Dad, look at this dog. I want it." Before I could respond, he was already reaching for Luna while staring at me. He asked, "Can I pet her, please?" I would usually say no, but this time I said yes because my daughter had no friends, and I thought this would be good social interaction for her, so I nodded yes. The boy dropped to his knees and started aggressively grabbing Luna's fur. "Pat her gently," I said. "She's a working dog." He ignored me and started pulling Luna's ears. Luna whimpered. I repeated, "I said gentle." The father dismissed me with his hand and watched his son yank Luna's tail without correcting him. I spoke again. "Please stop. She's a working guide dog for my daughter. She's blind." The father stopped smiling and said, "Well, she doesn't look blind." I felt my jaw tighten. "Excuse me? I'm just saying it seems like she's faking it because she's literally looking right at me." Suddenly, his ugly son looked up at our daughter and waved his hand in front of her face. "Hello, Earth to weirdo? Don't do that," I said. The boy laughed and stood up, still holding Luna's collar. "Well, since she's not actually blind, she doesn't need a dog, because people who are actually blind use sticks." Before I could even respond, the boy yanked Luna's collar. "Come on, doggy, you're mine now." My daughter heard what was going on and gripped the harness tighter. She shouted, "No, Luna, stay with me." I turned to the kid. "Get your hands off the dog, now." The father spoke, looking at me like I was being difficult. "Just give us the dog. My son wants it." I stared in disbelief. "No!" Our daughter's voice came out small. "Mommy, what's happening? The man leaned down toward her and said, what's happening, sweetie, is we're taking your dog, since you're lying about being blind. Our daughter started crying, silent tears running down her face. The kid grabbed Luna's collar with both hands and started trying to drag her towards their car. No, our daughter screamed. Luna! The father ripped the harness out of our daughter's hands. I tried to move, but the man was holding me tight. The kid was laughing. Stupid blind girl, you don't deserve a dog. Our daughter was sobbing. Mommy, help, I can't see. Where's Luna? Then I saw it. My husband Jason was running towards us in the distance. As soon as he made his way towards us, his fist hit the man's jaw and he dropped to the floor. The kid was still holding Luna's collar. Jason grabbed his shoulder and pushed him away. He really is our savior. I was always curious to see what it would take to make my husband snap. Then I found out that my daughter went behind my back and betrayed me, and I couldn't have been
Wait,
prouder.
is that the
It was 3
whole
a.m. when my
Like a one line. And yep, that's one line. Alright guys, comment down below if I should react to his story more or her story. But yeah, bye.